The Hollywood labor negotiations have been tumultuous lately, to say the least, with issues centered around compensation, AI, and the future of the industry coming to the forefront. Among the key players here in these talks is Ted Sarandos, who is Netflix's CEO. And he offered some insights and a breakdown into what happened. So I guess we got to dive into it, right? Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a quick reminder to check that you're still subscribed to the channel, and if not, turn that little red button to gray. It's going to help me get to 11K or 15K, which is the goal by the end of the year. So let's start with one of the primary issues, the one that's causing the most tension between the two parties, which is this ridiculous proposal of a levy on streaming subscribers. Now, Ted Sarandos, alongside other industry leaders, have been present. You've got Bob Iger, David Zaslav, Donald Langley, the big heads. And they've been involved in the negotiations. But, of course, leave it to Sarandos to come out and say that, well, this is really ridiculous. The initial offering to SAG-AFTRA was a success-based bonus, a concept akin to the deal that they put together with the Writers Guild. However, this offer came with significantly higher price tag for studios, costing them somewhere between 4 and 5 times more than, well, they expected, or they would like to spend. Of course, any money that they spend is more than they'd like to spend, but we'll set that aside for now. Yet, a pivotal moment that led to the actual collapse of this negotiation was that SAG-AFTRA counter-proposed a levy on every streaming subscriber. And this fee that the studios and the industry leaders, they were not going to allow for. Sarandos explained that the issue was not only the added cost, but the lack of transparency in the proposal. It provided no insights into the revenue per subscriber other than a drop-dead cost, and as a result, the introduction of this levy basically was a bridge too far. Now, AMPTP formally announced suspension of negotiations, citing an irreparable gap between the two parties, which I would say you could probably see for yourself. The studios, of course, are labeling as an untenable economic burden, estimating that it would cost them more than $800 million annually in revenue. And there's no reason to dispute that. It seems like their math is pretty good at 57 cents per subscriber, and as many as Netflix has, 230 million subscribers. Yeah, that's going to be a hefty chunk of change. Now, SAG-AFTRA accused the studios of employing bullying tactics as a result of them calling off the negotiations, which doesn't seem to be a very serious statement considering what they came back with as a counter proposal. They are actually trying to say that the studios are overstating what they would be responsible for by 60%. Again, I question their math, but Ted Sarandos stressed the industry leaders' dedication to reaching an agreement as long as the negotiations were making progress, which clearly they're not. So as of Wednesday night, they are not steady, they're not progressive, and they're done. So while labor negotiations dominate the industry's focus, they share a goal: getting people back to work and revitalizing a sector that supports numerous businesses beyond entertainment. Ted Sarandos expects that the cost of producing content will inevitably rise, as it has been since the current administration has taken office. Nonetheless, Netflix, under his leadership, maintains its content spending forecast, and I imagine most of the other studios do as well as soon as they're able to return back to work. In the case of Netflix, though, they actually just commission work that's being done in other countries and actually buy it from other countries as well, which seems to work out pretty well for them, but it's not something that Warner Brothers or Disney, or even Comcast for that matter, and, Paramount, the lesser player here, would actually be able to lean into too hard. There's just not that much content out there. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is all going to come down to some people being more reasonable, particularly on the actor side of the equation, because while they think that all of these streaming services are profitable, they aren't. Netflix, amongst all of them, is the only one that has shown the ability to produce a profit, and that is a very recent phenomenon over the course of the last few years. None of these other streaming services have produced $1 in profit. In fact, it's been estimated that Disney itself is about $13 billion underwater currently in their streaming efforts alone. So with all of that information in mind, I'm going to pose a few questions for you. Is it reasonable for SAG-AFTRA to expect a 57-cent levy on every subscriber to every streaming service? Is it equally reasonable from the studio side of the equation to expect quality content that's, monetizable and actually drives subscribers and viewership? And finally, is it your expectation that they'll be able to get anything back on track by the end of the year? I'll give you my answer now. No. And with those questions levied, I'll say the same thing that I always do. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya!